Welcome back to Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. We are back home safe and sound, and the Aggies defeated the Lumberjacks 45-24, homecoming 2025 at UC Davis Health Stadium. Slow start, strong finish. I have, of course, my trusted colleague, Dwight Smith, rocking the beige, looking good. And we also have
Thank
Nick
you.
King on the show tonight. And we also have Daniel Alfaro joining the show tonight as well. He will be a drop-in probably 10, 15 minutes from now. But this is the first time we've had like a joint pod with all the folks who've been a part of this the last month. So this is going to be pretty fun. We are just going to hang out, talk about the game. There's a lot to talk about from a lot of different angles. And so we got quarterbacks, receivers, and a couple D linemen to do it. I will just say, from my vantage point, it was, like I said, a slow start and then a really exciting finish. So I will kick it to Dwight before we bring you in, Nick. And Dwight, just kind of initial thoughts on this 45-24 win. 3-0 in the Big Sky, 5-0 against the FCS so far for UC Davis.
Yeah, it's great to be with you and Nick and Danny very soon. Wow, and this was my first time, Brock, feeling UC Davis Health Stadium 2025. So there's like an environmental perspective as well that I want to get in there, but it was great to have the families and to feel the berms and to reflect on how well manicured they are.
Very well. Very nice grass.
And yeah, I mean, I think I would capture my initial take with a comment I made to you late third, which was really around like, Pinnock maintaining, maybe not building from last week. And then like Samara is running like all the way over to the other side of the berm. Like I lose track of her, I'm like, I got to go find her. I look down and I feel like I turn around and he's putting up 3 awesome touchdowns in the fourth quarter and having a game that does build off of last week and like, continue to build what's been an impressive kind of couple games that he's strung together. I think the second half offense, like there's something special about our second half offensive performance, literally what we can do coming out the gate in the third quarter. Again, a Jay Fish like explosion, right?
Yep.
So that's special for me. And I want to hear from you both on the defense, but just my reaction to like the defense played really, really solid. I mean, the pressure was incredible. Guys filling in for the gaps that we know are there and having good games. So it felt like building towards a really complete 3-phase performance. Still work to do, and I think we can get into that. But I mean, for my first game at UC Davis Health Stadium of 2025, it was exactly what the doctor ordered up. And I will say, Brock, my score prediction was 42-21. Final score is 45-24. I don't know if that's worth an honorable mention. I don't know if you've looked at anyone.
It is. It is. I would say this. I'd like to think I'm smart. It's just kind of a sad fact of life. I think like I know a lot about football. I watch a ton of football. Like I'm going to be a good score predictor. And I would say time and time again, I'm humbled because I think, Dwight, I will say this out loud, you consistently pick a closer score than I do. And this probably goes back to Cafe Italia. And it's a little bit of a slap in the face, but this is what God does. He humbles the proud and gives grace to the humble. And so you're right. I'm wrong. Nick, let's turn to you now. What are your initial thoughts of the homecoming win for the Aggies?
I'm looking at the final score, and I think we're all hitting it. It's wild to think that it was 7-10 in the first half. Slow
Right.
start, slow game, and then all of a sudden we put up 40 points. It feels like again, and this offense is just relentless. I think Dwight, to your point, there's a lot of guys that are hurt. And when I see 40 points and we only let up 24 in the Big Sky is impressive, I still think there's a lot to improve on. Like, I don't think this is the best form of the Davis team. And I'm looking at some of the other scores across. Obviously, Montana State is a big game down the road. And as we want to see in the playoffs, I would love to see our defense really improve the run, stopping the run. But in terms of holistically, that we just keep scoring points and guys keep setting up. The other thing is I love to see, and I was talking to one of my best friends, one of my classmates, Dwight, I know, one of your receiver guys, Tom Hemmingson, asking him for some quick reactions. And he was sharing that he loves seeing Batu get the ball out in space and just letting him really take over the game. And then
Statement game for Batu.
And letting Cade kind of get into that rhythm. So those are kind of my general thoughts of like, wow, we scored 40 points when it felt like it was a slog to get there. Batu really made a stamp on it. And then just a lot of improvements. I mean, we'll go into it, but coverage on kickoff was killing us. I mean, they're starting at the 40-yard line. It felt like every time. Yeah. Felt like we couldn't really stop the run. So
that's a great point.
Those are my high-level thoughts.
Yeah, and I will go back to Dwight. Always good points from Nick King. This is why the people love Nick King. That's why randos are coming up in the stadium and saying "love you" on the pod. I'm getting engaged. Can you come officiate my wedding? I mean, just amazing things happening at the podcast. But there is a former UC Davis football player who we played with, who correctly, down to the decimal, predicted UC Davis 45, Northern Arizona 24. This is only like the second or third game I've asked people
is this the
for
Commodore?
A score prediction with a free hat. Who won the best, the perfect score, guys? Who do you think?
Is this an offensive player or defensive player?
I will give you that. That's your last clue. It's an offensive player.
Jimmy Kunkel?
It's a tight end.
It's someone we saw tonight.
It's a tight end. It's a tight end, right?
I will not disclose any information from here on out.
Tell the people.
You got to make a friggin' guess, man.
I mean, we know who it is. Tell the people who it is.
It's Mr. Taylor Sloat.
That's right. The Commodore.
Yeah, he's a very handsome man. He's very clean cut. He helps people be healthy with their bodies and explosive with physical therapy. Similar to Mrs. King.
I wouldn't guess Taylor. He takes me as the guy that doesn't have social media, so I just thought he was off the table as someone that would call that out.
He's active, man. He's active on our stuff.
And Mr. Sloat as well. So that was talking about alumni and homecoming. I got to see both of them, which is the legendary of kind of the father-son duo. So shout out to the Sloats.
Sloater.
I mean, let's take a moment to just appreciate the ability to predict a score perfectly. That honestly doesn't happen very much. Like, I'm looking through the comments and he's at the top of the comments because a couple people liked it because maybe they already figured out he won. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm just scrolling down like, no one's right. Taylor Sloat, 45-24 Aggies.
That's like, for me, that's the feeling of getting all A's in a quarter. It just didn't happen very often.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what that is like.
Okay, we're gonna hit the hard hitting analysis in a moment, but this is really the content that people want. Have you guys ever won any like free giveaway or something like this, like in your life? Have you had any experiences where nothing?
I'm a sucker for him, especially now that I'm into golf. Like, there's a lot of golf pages that are like, just like and follow and you could win a new driver. And always like, please God. And then I'm like, oh, if I did win, it would probably be a righty. It would probably be a right-handed club and I'm a lefty. But no, I've never. Nick, have you ever won the jackpot?
Close. A recent story. I was at Sales Club for my day job. We'll say this now. And we had to submit a Q&A for all of our executives. I brought my family to sales club. My daughter did not sleep well. It was in Hawaii. So we did not go to, what's up, Danny? We did not go to that Q&A, and this is about 300 people. And lo and behold, they pull a name out of the hat, and it's my CEO saying, Nick King, come on stage and ask your question. And crickets. No, I'm not there to be seen to get my award. So I got a bunch of text message and some gruff from my CEO of saying, hey, thanks for showing up to our only event we're doing for the whole week.
Dang. That's
Okay.
when the baby girl comes in handy, right? It's like, hey,
That's right.
what can I say?
Okay, Danny, you're joining at a perfect time. We have each given our initial thoughts on the game, and then we took a quick peek at our Aggie Pride podcast Instagram page. For those who don't follow, it's kind of where a lot of action happens at UC Davis Football Podcast. We do our score predictions each week, and Dwight just throws out there, why don't you just check and see if anyone had it correct? Because Dwight, what was your final score again?
I was 42-21, so I was within the standard deviation, right,
All
Danny?
right. Yeah, you were close. Yeah, that's right there.
So the very first comment, Danny, is from none other than Taylor Sloter, and he perfectly predicted UC Davis 45, Northern Arizona 24. And so then the question, and so I will now pose it to you. Give us your initial thoughts on the game, 45-24, UC Davis, slow start, strong finish.
Yeah.
And then also, if you've ever had a moment where you've had a perfect prediction or you've won a free giveaway for something you actually did.
Well, my initial reaction and take on the game was it was way more stressful than that final score feels. Like we've been great in the second half and again tonight, right? And in the first half, a couple more punts than we want. Like they score first, they go up on us. I was super nervous when that fumble happened, but then we got the fumble right back, and then we went down and scored. So it was like lowest of lows to like, all right, we're off to the races. They can't catch us type thing. So just way more stress than I think we want, but the end result was good. I saw that the kickoff was about to happen at halftime, and I walked out there, and then boom, Jordan Fisher, 60-yard run. So it's like, let's keep doing that. Let's keep going. Jay Fish out the gate in the second half for touchdowns. So, and then it was a fun day. Like, got to see you guys, got to hang out, and I thought it was awesome, seeing all the guys back on Bob Biggs Field. And so I thought it was a great homecoming for like football alums, right? It was fun to see a lot of our crew. Give Reggie Mason a big hug, Josh Reese a big hug. EJ Brown was with me. Bakari Grant showed up. Lots of guys. Jimmy Kunkel, like just all those dudes. And then to go in and see kind of a lackluster crowd. I don't know what the final numbers were, but I was fired up for the homecoming vibe and seeing everybody. So, but yeah, and I can't think of what I've correctly predicted or whatever. So you stumped me on that one.
Got you good.
And Brock,
I think, yeah, go, Dick.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, just Danny gotta thank him talking about the alumni. I know we're going off on different things. Danny sent us a text, says, hey, you guys are around in 5 minutes, come into the locker room. So gotta thank Danny to let us go into the locker room. Got to hear Plow's speech, and I've never got to hear that before, and it's becoming iconic. And I gotta say, I was juiced up. Got to see the guys all come out of the locker room. I gotta give a shout out to my guy Sam G. I'm not even going to try his last name anymore, but Mr. Spin, he came up and he dapped me, and we looked in the eyes and said, hey, let's get after it today. And I know he got a sack, so I'm proud of him. And then the best part is, only for Danny, only as a way a QB could, we start walking to the tunnel. We don't have a pass or anything. And he says, hey, just act like you've been here before, follow me. And we just walk right onto the field. So that's the only way we know how, is following the QB1 over here.
That's right.
That was good. Yeah, the pregame. Yeah, man. If you're at game day and you're a football alum, like, try to get in there on the side of the locker room and get to hear Plow speak. You'll be ready to run out of the field grab somebody's helmet and go on to kickoff, right, and knock somebody out. We were in there. Nick and I were in there with Chris Carter, played linebacker with us, and Tim. Brandon Quinn was in there, DJ Brown, and like Nick was saying, it's just fun. You're slapping fives with all the guys, and they're giving you chest bumps, and they're fired up, and we're fired up, and it's like, you're ready to go, and just, I mean, the whole vibe was great.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, Danny, I think something that we try to focus on with this is what we each are familiar with. So, Dwight, I think I'll tee you up for a wide receiver reaction, and there's a lot to talk about there. Nick, I think I'm going to tee you up for our guys, I would say, both of what we're passionate about. But Danny, I do want to start with you. When we're watching this game, and Dwight already shared it before you hopped on, it's a slow start. The first quarter, we had one offensive possession, which is pretty insane. It was 12 minutes of possession for Northern Arizona, only a couple for us. And so naturally, like even as a fan, like it's very strange to be in the environment, to be connecting with people, like having a good time, for us, like watching our kids and then trying to talk to a coach or a fan or whatever. And then also like trying to track the game and the emotions of it. Right. And I think this kind of mirrors what it's like to be an athlete, though, because the emotions of the game as a player, like you're antsy and if you're an offensive player, you're like, I want to get back out on the field. If you're a defensive player, you're like, let's get off the field or let's get a drive going. And
Right.
it's even
Right.
like that dynamic of that offensive and defense where at times you're like, let's go, let's pick it up, help us out, or vice versa. Like, we got your back. You're 3 and out. All right, we got your back. And those are the little things as a player that, we can kind of speak to. But Danny, I mean, the final stat line for Caden Pinnock is Walter Payton Award finalist esque. And we've had
Yeah.
comments even tonight on our IG, like, this guy's got to be up for the Walter Payton, which is pretty crazy. But the last 2 weeks, I feel like he is really ascended, to use an old Hawkins phrase. But
Yeah.
speak to what you're seeing, man. 25
Yeah.
of 29, 348, 5 touchdowns. What are you seeing from Caden and this offense under your boy, Coach Blau?
It's special to watch, and it's every game there's a handful of things you see him do that you just like shake your head like, oh man, that's special. I saw his throw at Cal Poly last week, and I talked to a bunch of people about it today. Like, have you ever seen somebody be able to make that throw? And they're like, no, I can't do that. And so I saw the stat line, and it just kind of was in disbelief a little bit because it was like he's that efficient. He's doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and like I mentioned before, it seemed like there was a slow start, kind of fits and starts early on with the punts and stuff like that. But maybe that's just like Plow trying to find his play calling rhythm and put drives together and longer sustained drives and stuff like that. So it's them getting comfortable. And I listened to his press conference earlier in the week on the drive home tonight just to see what he was thinking going in. And he was saying that their defense has a ton of different schemes and tweaks and stuff like that. So he was just probably trying to find his rhythm. But um, a couple things stood out to me with Caden tonight. Like, there was one time he was rolling out to his right, and he's got such poise and calm, and like he's so good that I think the game moves slow for him, which is crazy for a redshirt freshman, right? But he's moving out to his right, and he waited for, I think it was Ian, find like the right slot, and he just put it on him real quick, and it was like a 12, 13-yard play going towards the scoreboard. And I just thought, like, hey, he's moving fast and he's such a good athlete, but like the game must be going slow for him to have the patience to wait for the guy to find the window. So that one really stuck out to me. And then probably his worst play of the game was we were going the other way and he was rolling out to his right. He was way outside the tackles, so he could have just thrown it into the bleachers, but he hung on to it too long and he took like a 12-yard sack, right? And we needed a big drive. But the very next play, he like bullet to Stacey Dobbins right down the middle for a first down. And it's like, all right, like he just undid his mistake, right? And so, which given the stat line and given what he's done the last 2 weeks and the whole season so far, it's crazy to feel like he still has levels to go. Because of that, he could have thrown it away and saved 12 yards and made his life easier on third down. But he just went 25 for 29 for 350 something and 5 touchdowns to 3 different receivers. It's like, this is crazy. This is crazy. So I just think he's so impressive. He can make all the throws. He makes all the plays. He's poised. He's calm. He's smooth. There's not a whole lot left to say other than I'm so excited we get to keep watching him for 5 more weeks and into the playoffs, man.
Yeah, Danny, I just a couple of things, I don't want to loop back around to another thought, a question about Pinnock. I was just in the background catching the post-game press conference with Plow that just got sent out. And it's Pinnock who's up there and Psych. So for our listeners too, like those are awesome. Go check those out. They're really fun. Both what Plow has to say and then whichever players are on the mic. But yeah, we were sitting in the south end zone in the first quarter, most of the first half. And that drive where we got the field goal, the reason we got a field goal, not a touchdown, was there was like a flood concept, and Dobbins like pops open corner, like wide open end zone. Pinnock doesn't see it or whatever and throws the shallow, and it's I think completed for like 2 yards, or maybe it was incomplete. And I was like, all right, like that was something that was missed. Like, how do we bounce back from that? And you talked about like the ability to have the next play that is a winner, but talk about the sacks, because that's something I've been curious about and noticing, like with a mobile quarterback, like the balance of get the ball out quick and move around to make something happen. And tonight, I think he took 4 sacks for like 35 yards or something. So talk about that piece of how does a quarterback grow and develop in the ability to be aware of the pocket, knowing to get rid of the ball, knowing to get going on their feet and get out of there, and what you're seeing from Caden in that part of his game.
Yeah, when you talk about that, it reminds me of when Plow talks about like you got to get the ball out, right? Like that's been his motto with quarterbacks the last 2 years, but back when he was here as an OC for Hawk, it was like Jake Mayer and Miles, like they were getting the ball out quick, and he was getting pissed off at them if they didn't get the ball out or take off and run. Right now, I think Caden has a different skill set where he believes he's going to make a play, right? So he might dance in the pocket or a little bit more than just up and out, right? Like a normal quarterback, like where you're just moving up in the pocket, like shuffle, and then you take off and you might fall forward for no gain, right? Whereas he's trying to dance around and find a seam and get outside and hanging on to it too long. And I think those are those learning things where, Plow has said, like, he's trying to figure out and coach up Caden, like not to restrain him, but like keep that big play ability alive while like giving him like, hey, we can't do it there, or you got to have more situational awareness there. And those are things that he's going to pick up, and he's still going to be a huge playmaker, but he's going to be more polished, and that's where he has room to grow. And tonight he still had a great game, but took some sacks that could have been worse. So that's the potential he has to learn and kind of refine. That is what I think.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to the offensive side of the ball. I think we'll definitely touch base, Dwight, with what you saw from the receiving room. And, I think a story that Lyric Bulware and Paul Bulware and the rest of the North End Zone faithful were talking about is this two-headed attack of Carter Vargas and Jordan Fisher. And, so we're going to table that. Those two guys make me so excited that I will potentially forget about our guys on the D line with our coach, Jerry Brady, but I'm not gonna. We'll get back to him. So, Nick, I want to bring you in at this point. Post-game, Dwight and I are down the field. We're trying to find LAN because we saw Bob and Jan, and they said 5 hours ago or, last night or something, Land texts us like, I'm going to the game tomorrow. I found flights. And so they say, well, we're coming. And so we're like, okay, we'll
On his
see you down there.
birthday.
So we,
On
on
his
his
birthday.
birthday,
Mitchell Dixon's
Nick
birthday
came,
too and got a touchdown.
That's right.
Land Layerson is how old, gentlemen? Do you know? Take a guess.
23.
Yeah, 22.
Well,
24.
I'm cheating because I know Black Mamba. You know what I mean? Mamba mentality.
Oh,
24, baby.
There you go, Dwight. Yeah, he's 24. But so we saw them down on the field. We wanted to go down. I wanted Easton and Samara to see this NFL star in the flesh. But talking to Coach Brady, he said, like, it's tough. It's tough when for the first quarter, you're on the field the majority of the game. And he's like, these slow starts are kind of killing us a little bit, on the defensive side of the ball. But I feel like they bowed up. I mean, if we remember, it was 10-7 at half.
Yeah.
So the fact that this score, I mean, we're walking around at halftime, we run into some people who made score predictions with us. They're like, my score prediction is out the window. I had 52-45 or something. Like, well, we ended up scoring 45 points. So it got a little crazy in the second half. But up until that point, it was a tricky game. It felt like Northern Arizona had a bit of control and they were having some success on the ground. I would say we did well stopping Ty Pennington, who was someone last year who ran the ball really well from the quarterback position, and they tried to run him a lot last week against Montana State. He had like an 8-yard run, I think, on the first or second drive, and I was like, oh no, here we go. Didn't do much. Nick, we had those 2 early sacks, and then time and time again, we had big plays, and we know who we're going to talk about at that front four. But just give us your thoughts on the D line to start, but then Jackson Severs and Kalani Riddick and the rest of the defense who all came up and made some big plays.
Absolutely, man. And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I love this D line, and I think they would say themselves, and I hope they would, that Cal Poly was maybe not the game we were expecting. I think credit to Cal Poly's offensive line, offense. I was seeing a lot more pressures and just be the impact team. So I think to counter that, they completely stepped up, like you said, and kind of showed how dominant they can be. And they were applying pressures all game. It felt like any passing down, any 3rd and long, any 4th down, they were getting to the quarterback. And I actually felt and expected that to happen. I knew our boys were going to get after them. You mentioned it, Jacob Syke already up there. I saw he has 5 sacks. It feels like he needs more. I don't know if they haven't been updated, but he had a sack and a half, 2 TFLs, forced fumble, and I think he had a pass breakup if BR up is. So he stacking the stat box is incredible.
Did we have double-digit TFLs? Do you know how many TFLs?
I'm looking at that right now.
Like we had
we had 2.
We had 9.
Ooh, yeah, we were close.
That's crazy. Sorry,
And,
Nick.
No. I mean, I think that's right. I mean, to your point, we were getting after it. I mean, Terrell Porter had a sack. I think, Sam G, like I said, my boy that I saw before the game had a sack. I think Trent and Brock, you were saying it before we started recording. I think he's being underrepresented, man. I feel like every big play he's in on, I think he only had half a sack, but hey, what we can do is, talk to the right folks and up those stats because he's been really one of the heart and soul of the D-line, it feels like, with his big arm brace, which I know is tough.
This is the problem. They can't. It's so annoying. And Trent, he has been a glue guy, and not only a glue guy, he is a impact guy on this D line.
100%.
Next to Jacob Syke, I think he's been the most impactful guy. And that sack he had, which was a full sack, it should not have been a half sack in the first quarter. He's on the edge, man. Like, he's not playing at the 3 technique. They move this guy around. He's very versatile.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also shout out to Madruga. I'm butchering all these names, but I know he's been kind of coming in on late. I saw that he logged a sack. So to have a new guy have across the team, I mean, Brock, you know how it is. Like, it's great when one guy eats, but to have the whole D-line just represents how great this D-line is, just the defense overall. And I think it also helps out the rest of the team. Obviously, we have injuries for the Porter brothers. So having that type of pressure just alleviates a lot of that stress that it puts on some of the guys that are maybe not used to being in those positions more. So I think that's a big thing. And then the other thing, we touched on it quickly. Carter is by far my favorite player, even though I love the D line. I mean, I love what he does, and obviously had the tough fumble, which that was a great play by the defense. That was like a perfect punch. But then immediately, and I think it was Kalani did force that fumble right away. I think it was the play of the game. We can talk about player of the game, but the play of the game, because the game was in balance there, to get the ball back and score was huge. And then the last thing, Brock, you kind of touched on as well. Jaden Stanley had 7 tackles. Jackson Seaver stepping up with 2 TFLs. So especially, with the Porter brothers out, to have those guys step up to kind of help anchor the defense is super important. And I think the last thing I'd love to see, just to kind of wrap things up, and my wife stepping in probably asked me, hey, you just had a game all day. What are you doing? Is I would love to see us better stop the run. I think that's something I really want to see, especially as we play against Montana State and in the future, is getting those guys better stopping the run.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that looking at the defensive sheet here, man, the individuals, it's like, how do you pick? Like, so many guys were so active. Like, even looking at Severs, like the guy had 9 total tackles, 3 solos, 6 assists, 2 TFLs for 9 yards, a sack, a pass breakup, like guys all over the field. And you can go down the list. Like, just guys are active, man. It's really impressive. I love to see our guy Drew Cofield at a TFL. That's awesome, man.
And Jackson's not a big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to go on the field after the game. And I'm telling Easton, like, look at all these guys. They're so big. He goes, they're bigger than Uncle Dwight. And at the same time, like, Jackson Severs is not an imposing dude. He's just not. I mean, he's listed as 6 foot 225, which is I would say not that big, and maybe he's not even that weight in reality, and yet he has stepped into that role that Porter left, which Nick King did the Freudian Porter brothers. This is a thing. We all will listen back to this podcast because we are enough prideful to do that. And we will realize the mistakes we make. And we will all make mistakes in this podcast. Nick King says Porter brothers. I say Porter brothers. Dwight might have said Porter brothers. Danny will take one more swig of his freaking Corona and say Porter brothers. It is the Connors brothers. And they are both out. And it is upsetting that they're both out. And Rex is out for the year. And Porter, first name, is in a boot. And I'm not jabbing you too hard, Nick, because I've made a trillion mistakes.
No, it's fair.
Last episode, I said FCS when I meant FBS. Like, this is just a thing. It's impossible to say everything correctly all the time. Dwight, we are bringing it back to you. Sam Gattu Batu went off. I hate the Wi-Fi at UC Davis Health Stadium. I would love to just ping a bunch of stories and posts, but my stupid AT&T service doesn't allow me. It finally pinged after the game ended, and it posted the one video I took in the end zone on APP Family Day as Samara and Easton were hanging all over me. And it's Gattu Batu looking so fast. And so what do you make of Gattu Batu and the rest of the gang, Stacey Dobbins' first ever college touchdown?
Yeah, I think the first comment, is it actually a Corona, Danny, or is it a Miller Lite? I couldn't tell.
It's a Modelo.
Modelo. All right. Nice.
My favorite.
Nice. Good pick. Yeah, just overall, our skill guys, you can, like, even comparing our skill guys to NAU's, like in space, there's a difference. I like, Pennington did a great job getting the ball to his guys at spots, but what happened after, as far as like the acceleration and the ability to make moves, there is a difference. And like, I guess 7's the magic number. Like, Pinnock spread the ball out to 7 pass catchers again this week, which is huge. We had 4 guys over 50 yards receiving, which is awesome. You mentioned Mitch Dixon, Danny, earlier. Happy birthday, Mitch, and happy birthday, Land. But I mean, I'm just scouring Instagram to see footage of that hurdle, because like that thing needs to be shared and reshared. That was so awesome. But yeah, like, playmakers all over the field. Sam Batu, statement game. I think, Brock, you were on the pod with Sam Akem. and he's talking about, hey, I don't know what's going on with Batu. Is he going to have a statement game? And Sam Akem, you got your answer. I mean, this guy is the real deal. Like the ability to get open, get the ball, and then create separation, east-west and north-south is next level. And it's not just him. Like Dobbins is that guy. Like if you look at that scoring play, the ability to be moving 100 miles an hour east-west, put a foot in the ground, and then find your way 6-7 yards. And shout out to Ian Simpson on that play, because Ian's block is what opened the door for Dobbins to get that first touchdown of many. We already mentioned Carter Vargas, like just a special player with the ball in his hands from getting the handoff, but also receiving the ball. And just his
returning too.
Yeah, and returning.
Yeah.
Like
He had a big kickoff, right?
Yeah, was it a punt return or a kickoff? It was a kickoff return, right? 55 yards.
Kick return.
Yeah. It's like something that's special about him is what he does with his, obviously with his feet, but I'm talking about like his high stepping, avoid ankle tackle ability is just like next level. I mean, it's so special to watch. I'm just going down the list. Like, cool to see Scott Nixon get a reception. Ian Simpson again, like, had a couple nice catches and yak yards. But overall, like, I noticed the speed and efficiency of what happened after Caden got these guys the ball. And of course, we could talk about their ability to get open, which is part of the scheme. But like what I saw with the ball in guys' hands was really impressive. So I think it's, again, another build off the Cal Poly week. I'm excited I don't know if Hennessy's injured. I was curious to see if we get Hennessy in the game, but
he was on the sideline. I didn't see him get in much, but
okay.
Yeah,
but
Scott
I mean, the
Dixon,
fact that
Scott Dixon is kind of elevated in that role from what I'm seeing from playing time.
Yeah, and what's his name? 2 touchdown from the guy who had 2 touchdowns last week, is not
Zach
on the stat
Jones?
sheet. Yeah, Zach Jones.
Yeah.
Saw him in there for punt return when Kalani Riddick got banged up. But yeah, it's just like we got guys that can fill in the spots, and they answered the bell, especially in the second half of today's game.
Yeah, and Dwight, I don't want to step on your toes, but
no, you're
I
good.
think it's a perfect representation of what we talk about, Aggie Pride, of excellence on the field and off. And so you mentioned Sam Batu. So again, Tom Hemmingson, he had his brother and then his nephew who just started Pop Warner this year. So he hung out after the game, and guess who he walks up to? He sees Sam Batu. Sam says, "Hey, follow me to the locker room," grabs his gloves, handed it to Tom's little brother. So that just made his day. I have a photo of it in a text message. So shout out to Sam. I mean, again, having probably the game of the year and then still doing that with the fans goes a long way. And that's really what Aggie Pride's about.
Yeah. And he probably heard the legend of Tom Hemmingson. So he was like, I got to take care of this guy.
That's right.
Love it.
Dwight, what you were saying about all the guys that stepped up was, like it could be a different guy every week, right? Like Zach Jones had 2 tugs last week, and this week it's Batu's week, and Ian Simpson had a good catch. Mitchell's hurdling guys, so there's a lot of depth, and I think it's a good thing because they can't key in on one guy, right?
Right.
You were talking about Stacy. Did you see that catch where he was running the corner to the away sideline and then went back and caught it over his other shoulder? I was with Bakari. I was like, "Bakari, did you see that?" And he's just like, "Yeah, that's big time stuff." So there's players all over the field, which is cool to see. And
Danny, that was over 3 guys. That was you saw that. It was like the corner, the safety, and I was like, leaving the linebacker. That was like a perfect throw too. That was insane.
Yeah. I mean, if we did a poll on what is Stacey Dobbins' vert, I would definitely put in 40. Like, yeah, that guy can get up. Like, he can get up, man. He's got bounce.
Yeah, love it. And it was not Scott Dixon. It was Scott Nixon. He's another transfer guy. Sacramento City College, had like 800 yards receiving there last year. And he's someone that Mitch Dixon talked about a couple weeks ago on the podcast, which is why I was confused given the very close similarity, and the fact that Mitch Dixon is also a Sacramento guy, which is why he probably knows Nixon and Dixon. All right, I want to give us now a shift. And we are nice, right? Like, we played football at UC Davis. We like to be positive. It's nice to be positive in life because it's much easier to be negative in life. It's very easy to go to a football game and to be like a couch quarterback and to criticize things. And why did Plow do that then? And why aren't they doing this? And why don't they get him the ball? And why don't they change this scheme and that sort of thing? Like, our defense needs to be better. And so we've been pretty nice so far. And now I'm going to like shift our brains, and we're all going to give like a room for improvement take, or a fix take, or a if this team is actually going to do something meaningful beyond a second or round or quarterfinal round take. And so I want you guys to kind of think about that at this point. And I will start as you think about it. I have said this till the cows come home. You need to be able to reliably run the ball, and you need to be able to stop the run well. And and especially in our conference. So like the NAUs, and a buddy who was there, Paul Bulware, I give him a second shout out. So at the Little League game this week, you will get a lot of pats on the back because you got 2 Aggie Pride podcast shout outs, Paul. He said, I think we're a tier 2 team. He said, I don't think we are a tier 1 FCS team. He says, we have a really good offense, but I think maybe our defense is not good enough to actually like be at that level. And I think like there's no denying that we are excited because we're 5-0 against the FCS. We got destroyed against Washington, but who friggin' cares? And, even Mercer on the road, like that was a pretty solid performance. So for me, I don't know if I would like co-stamp that take. I think it's a decent take, but I do think about Bozeman on November 12th or 15th or whenever the hell it is. And the game I saw tonight will not win in Bozeman against the Bobcats. Now, the good news is we have a month. So any good team, you think the Belichick Patriots, not the Belichick Tar Heels, think the Saban Crimson Tide, not the DeBoer Crimson Tide. Like, they just get better. And even if they don't look like all together in September, that train is getting better. And honestly, it's the same with De La Salle here where I live in a high school standpoint. It might not look that good in week 1 or 2, but because of the coaching, because of the discipline, because of that just like gritty strength, by the end of the season, like, you do not want to play this juggernaut. And I'm just not sure we're like a program who's honestly at that level. I feel like we're a program on the rise with a very brilliant offensive minded head coach with a lot of speed, a lot of talent, a pretty experienced O-line that is good enough to make it happen. And I'm wondering about the cold weather football. And it's nice to have Jordan Fisher go on a 70-yard run, but he only had 30 rushing yards other than that. And it's nice to have Carter Vargas with a 50-yard catch, but he only had 40 yards rushing other than that. So my like real take is that I think we're better than a tier 2 team, but I'm wondering about like, can we go from being the 7th, 6th ranked team? Because I feel like that is a true depiction of where we're at, to continuously improving under this ridiculously talented quarterback, if we're all honest, and get to like a top 3 team. I don't think we're there yet. But that's kind of my take. Dwight, since we do this all the time, you go next, and then we go to Nick, and then we finish with the people's quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I love Paul. Love me some Paul, but I don't co-sign that take. Paul would love to discuss it with you on the farm. All right. It's just the 3 of us, boys. I think the thing that Brock said about constantly improving, I think I am seeing that. So that is really exciting. Despite like the hand that you fold immediately with regard to injuries. Like you can't control that hand, but the team that we're making it work with now is, you know, honestly different offensively and defensively because of injuries. And it's next man up for sure. But I mean, you lose the guys that we've lost. You have to figure out how to make it work. And so, I think fully healthy, let's just enjoy that hypothetical for a moment. Like I think we are getting into the top 5, if not already, pretty soon. I think area for improvement for me, and I agree, the running ability, the O line, and our ability to consistently run throughout a game is key to keep getting better at. I mean, whether it's early in the year, getting field goals blocked, punting issues. Now we have what's going on with our kickoff unit. Those things just come back to bite you in November and December as well. And like, we need to figure out consistency in the special teams. There's been some really bright moments. That Jordan Fisher block punt was so awesome earlier in the year. Hunter's, was close on the 50-yarder, has been pretty solid this year, but our kickoff coverage today was just a head scratcher. And we've had issues with kickoff before this game. So I think, like, for me, the area for improvement as we move forward is to just get rock solid on special teams. So that just isn't an issue that we can point to come November, come December as like the play that turned the game around in the favor of our opposition. So that's what comes to mind for me right now.
Yeah, Dwight, man, I thought I was covered. You were talking about consistency, and I was like, yes, all right, I got my point. Yeah, I'll be succinct. It has to be coverage. I was trying to look up the stat, and I was going to be cheeky. One of my least favorite stats is, and I'm pronouncing our kicker's name right, is Isaac Manchera. Maybe I'm butchering that, but he had 1 tackle, I think, today, and he's had at least 2 in the last 2 games. So our kicker on kickoff has 3 tackles. That shouldn't happen. I'll give credit that he makes the tackle. I'd love to see that, but I would love to actually see it where it's either kicked into the end zone and it's a fair catch, or we tackle someone else. We can't have these where I mentioned it felt like they were starting on the 40-yard line every time. So that's a unit, and I'd have to think that with the injuries, everyone's next man up. And so those guys that are maybe not playing as much, that are younger, are now on the special teams units and not having that kind of cohesive nature of what we have maybe earlier in the season. So would love to see an improvement on kickoff and punt.
Yeah, I think I definitely don't think we're tier 2. I think, like, to feel confident and comfortable that we've reached that echelon of top of the big sky, and it's a 5-name tier with the Dakotas and the Montanas and the Aggies, right? That's our goal, and we want to live with those guys. I think if we figure out how to put our foot on the gas pedal earlier and kind of choke them out early, that would be, and not hope that, hey, we're going to turn it on in the second half after the adjustments, just come out the gates firing. I don't know how that happens, right? Like, you got to scheme them up early, and they got to do what you've been game planning for. So I'd say getting out of the gates and just stomping on their throat from the get-go. And then sometimes, I know on D, Dwight talked about the injuries, and that's been talked about a lot. But sometimes it just feels like tonight that they were just carving through warm butter, just down the field, easy. And so I do really like how the defense generates a ton of turnovers, right? So it's been a huge bright spot. Like, the sack fumbles by Syke was talked a lot about, and then they happen again tonight. So it's like, it's crazy. And so, yeah, I think we're picking nits a little bit, But yeah, constructive criticism is always needed. And I think if we are going to go deep in the playoffs and we are going to go toe to toe with Bozeman, we gotta sharpen all facets of the game. But yeah, those would be my two things: come out the gates hot and bend but don't break. If that's the motto we got to go to with the crew that we got now, maybe. But making those teams earn the touchdowns, earn the points every time.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, and yeah, each of you make good points, and I think that's why it's valuable to have everyone on this. Um, I want to shift us to the before the Big Sky player of the game. So you can each choose a player of the game. I have mine locked and loaded, ready to go, and I got max preps on the click. So you just let me know, and I'll look up how the team did last night. Give you a second to think about it, and then we'll close with our final thoughts after that. And Dwight, you had a good idea for the alumni rundown, so I think we can incorporate that into the final thoughts. But it's getting late. I want to edit this tonight and get it out, and so we kind of need to wrap it up. Before the Big Sky player of the game from Brock Galvin is going to be a guy who has stepped up in a way that was so vital for the Blue Force in order to overcome two massive losses, and a guy who honestly I was not as familiar with, and was asking people like, who's going to fill that hole on the defensive side of the ball. We knew the secondary is loaded, but it's Jackson Severs out of Capistrano Valley. Like I said, I don't think he's an imposing figure on the defensive side of the ball, but he's athletic, he's fast, he fills, he's physical, he makes plays, he's been fun to watch. And he played at Capistrano Valley High School in Mission Viejo. When you think of Mission Viejo, California, you think of Mission Viejo High School, home of Mark Sanchez and Brock Johnson and all of the famous, quarterbacks that Danny looks up to. You don't think of Capistrano Valley, and yet it is a very solid program. They went to the CIF Southern Section playoffs last year, and they've started 6-1 this year. They destroyed Cypress High School, which is another nice program down there, 42-0 last night. Their only loss was to Crean Lutheran. Crean Lutheran is actually the home of Tyler Parker, who's our influencer defensive tackle, who's played a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see how he develops over time. So before the Big Sky player of the game for me is going to be Jackson Severs and Capo Valley High School. Dwight will position it to you, or we'll pass it to you. That's what we do. We pass it to you.
And I will, yeah, there's just a lot of, there's like so many guys. Like there's a big honorable mention group here. Like Jay Fish doing his thing, like just, hey, it's an embarrassment of riches. Like, hey, we're probably going to score a touchdown within 30 seconds of the third quarter starting if we got Jay Fish. We got Vargas doing his thing, I'll save Pinnock for Danny. Like, what an incredible game. I got to give it to Stacey Dobbins, man. Like, great, like, incredible, maybe turning point catch last week. That was just insane. Builds on that this week with just being all over the field. I watch him as a blocker too, as a small guy. Like he gets into guys' chest plates, man, and then has his first career touchdown. 4 receptions, 71 yards, 1 touchdown, long of 25. Because it's his first touchdown of many to come, I got to give the award to Dobbins this week.
Okay, this is crazy, Dwight. What's the number 1 ranked football team in the United States of America at the high school level?
Currently, I don't know. It was Mater Dei at one point, but I don't know if it's still Mater Dei because they lost a couple games.
St. John Bosco Braves. Oftentimes it is Mater Dei or St. John Bosco. Stacey Dobbins led St. John Bosco in receiving 2 years ago. They're 7-0. They started the year flying out to Florida, destroying one of the best teams in Florida. Then they fly out to Texas. They win by 59. Then they go to Maryland and they play St. Francis Academy, which is an insane school with like 50 Division I guys. Actually a close game, 21-14. Then they destroy the Fighting Sam Goligoskis at Juniper Serra. They go out to Hawaii. Actually, they bring the Hawaiians in. They destroy Marcus Mariota's 49-20. And this last weekend, yesterday, they beat Orange Lutheran, which is the Fighting Tyler Hennessy's 48-0. This isn't fair. Let me clip this rant and tags Joe Davidson. This isn't cool. Let's spread them out. SoCal is big. Get them out of there. I'm sick of 4 stars on their third string. I'm sick of it. 7-0, number 1 team in the land.
All right, I'll jump in here, and I'm going to go off the board and make Brock's job very difficult because we never do this, and maybe it's our fault here. Maybe we need to bring in Jimmy Kunkel. Obviously, the D-line, I have love for them, but I'm actually going to give it to the whole offensive line. So, Brock, pick and choose which one you want. I think we would be remiss if we're talking about how high-powered our offense is and how dynamic our running backs and Caden Pinnock's throwing for 4 or 5 touchdowns a game and talking about, potentially All-American and Walter Payton. You got to give love to the big dogs up front. Offensive line, I know we still let up a couple sacks, but I think those are really about, as Danny, you mentioned, going outside of the pocket. And that's been my biggest challenge early in the season. And we talk about improvement, Dwight, Danny. I think that's been one of the most improved groups. Got to give love to Mike Cody as well. So I'm going to give it to the offensive line, completely doing something I wouldn't be comfortable doing, but I got to do it since we never do give them love.
Way to go, Nick. That's a great job. I'm already on it. I work hella fast. This is how my brain works. So I quickly gathered the information and I thought, you know what? I think Eli Simonson is the most intriguing character. His hair is very long, lower back length, most likely. And he's a transfer from the state of Nebraska. He's a transfer from the University of Nebraska University. And he played at a school, Bergen Catholic, not the famous one in New Jersey. It is actually one in Fremont, Nebraska. They're 6-1, and they had a 1-0 forfeit victory against the Tecuma Herman Tigers last night. 1-0 forfeit victory. Eli Simonson, he's been the left tackle. He's up for like some academic award this year. We met his family in South Dakota. They said he's done. This is it. And then he's playing football again, and he's a staple there at left tackle.
That's good stuff. That shows growth, Nick, that you could reach across the other side and shout out the O-line. So I'm proud of you for that, man. It shows maturity. Like Dwight said, there's a ton of honorable mentions. First, Zach Kennedy, I was hanging out with him and Josh Reese, and he was hoping for the over, and that last touchdown got him there. So he's going to be drinking good at G Street tonight. So shout out to Zach. And then shout out to Mitchell Dixon. Happy birthday, Mitch, big touchdown. And Lan was telling Plow that Lan's been coaching up Mitchell how to hurdle. So that was fun to see. I do, Caden just played so well, man. And he's on a hot streak. So I could get cute with it, but he's leading them and he's distributing the ball all over the field. He's just making plays. So not a lot more to say other than I hope he keeps that hot streak going. I hope we come out the gates hotter, like I was saying. He had a couple low throws. I mean, we're picking nits again, right? Like, I think he had 2 low throws, and I wish he would have thrown it away instead of taking the sack. But I don't know. I mean, Tim probably has some stuff that he's getting on him. Coach Shelton has some stuff that he's going to get on him, and they're going to grind tape, and he's going to get better. And I don't know how he's going to get better, but I'd bet my money that he's going to get better. So I'd pick Caden for player of the game, and let's keep it going, man.
Yeah, we'll give a Del Oro update every week at this point. They played Folsom High School. We all know Folsom High School. They're the 10th ranked team in the state, so not number 1 in the country, but still a really successful program. They got a quarterback who's one of the best in the country, 5-star kid, but he's actually been hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think he played last night. Still, Del Oro fell 35-20 to the Bulldogs and fall 4-3 on the year. But it's amazing football in the Sac Joaquin section. So final thoughts, guys. Anywhere you take it, you can list out all the alumni that you saw at the game per Dwight's idea, or looking ahead type thing, sponsored by BPM and J. Get your life together, get your shit together, and get a will for your family. Okay. And I think we'll go reverse order this time. So Danny, on the spot, what do you got? Final thoughts?
Yeah, it was just a great day. Beautiful weather. I always like it when, we're all together on the same field tailgating. So it's cool to have Brewfest. And then like Dave Holtman does a good job with his tailgate with Christine Plow. And then, yeah, just, it was fun seeing all the guys, and I wish we could do that on a more regular basis. Like, we'd love for the stands to be packed every week, but I'd love it if there's 50, 60, 70 football alums, and we're meeting guys from all different eras and decades. And so I think, we got to keep that momentum going. Um, if you're going to the game, just shoot 5 to 10 of your guys a text, like, let's all get there, or caravan up, and let's do it all together. And so, it was a great start to the day, and then the Ags took care of business on the field. So, it's always a great day when the Ags win. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, talking about homecoming weekends, it's crazy. I don't know what the numbers are, 12,000, 15,000, 17,000, but it feels so small in this amazing Davis community where you walk around the top and you run into guys that you haven't seen in years. And it's just great to have that brotherhood. So such a huge highlight. And I don't know, I haven't consulted you about this, Brock, and I think they need to get on it. Froggies, Tommy J's, you got no free shout outs. Maybe you need to help hook up with the pod, but I got to have a Froggies burger, and that was our go-to spot. Karaoke nights over the summer on Fridays, Cameron Sentence and I singing Wagon Wheel. So got to have a burger there and bring back some good memories, man. So nothing like homecoming to see your boys get a win and get a burger and a brew with your boys.
Yeah, the environment was special. It was great to feel it in 2025 fashion. And great to see folks. I mean, guys, you already listed a bunch of the alums you ran into. Just a few to name. Ran into Garth Keffer, Ian Rhodes, Stephen Pitts. We mentioned Taylor Sloat. Shout out to Bob Krieger, man. That was an awesome alumni reception up on the Krieger Terrace. Got to meet the Krieger fam who'd flown out for the festivities. Also Dr. Howard, who was one of the other Aggies in white coats that we had on the podcast a couple months ago. Ran into Dr. Howard. Just so many guys. Yeah, it's just always special to reminisce, right? And to like be part of what's going on now as well. So yeah, my final thoughts are just keep building, like in whatever way we can, whatever tools we need to use. And like each game I'm seeing different tools, different ways that we, and this game was massive to me, guys, because this was the first time this year that we've really iced out a game. And that 2-play sequence of the fumble by Vargas and then the forced fumble by Riddick, I believe it was, that was what allowed us then to have the momentum on offense to rattle off 18 more touchdowns in 5 minutes and ice the game out. But that is a unique building block from this game that I'll expect, the bye to be a chance to get our guys healthy, which we haven't mentioned here, but Northern Colorado just put a beat down on Idaho. And so this bye is huge for us. We play well coming out of the bye. And so excited for us to keep building, rest up, get healthy, and then get back to work on the other side of the bye week.
That's good stuff, guys. I will be a little preachy, as I can be from time to time in my life. And I would just say that I heard a good message a couple weeks ago about the dark night of your soul. And if you know that phrase, you've been through it. If you don't know that phrase, you've never been through it, but you will one day. Like everyone goes through the dark night of your soul. Dwight and I have been through it together. And I even put out a cheesy post because this is who I am and this is what I do this week. And I said, we've been through a lot of seasons of life together and we will go through a lot more together. And, the message was, as we become adults, we make most decisions out of fear. we make most decisions out of sense of security. There's more to lose. You might have a family, you might have a job, you might have an aura or a reputation. And this is why people end up making safer and safer choices. It's also why people tell us when we're younger, just go try shit, just go do it. If you mess up, you'll be okay. You don't have as much to lose at that point in your life. Land's 24. I turn 37 next week. It feels a little different. And so, whether you're an alumni, like showing up to a game, or you're scared to cheer, which I've shared about that before, or you're scared to make the play call, or you're scared to make the cut, or the play, or the spin move, or the thing, like the difficulties in life will come. Like, you're going to go through the dark night of your soul. You're going to go through some really tough stuff. So really, like, go through it, And Chris Perry, who was an Aggie Pack MC at the end, of the game, Scott Judson couldn't make it out, said like, hey, I haven't seen this enthusiasm for years around the program. And he said, of course, because people say nice things, says, oh, like what you guys are doing is great and blah, blah, blah. But, we are trying to push through. We are just trying to like try stuff, not be really scared of the response, just go for it. And so that'd be my kind of thing. And even as a team, like, go for it. Like, really go for it, guys. Like, I know some of you guys listen. Don't be scared. Like, be disciplined, watch the film, make the play, study the playbook. And at the same time, like, you might not win at the end of the year. You might win 7 games this year. You might win the national championship. We don't really know. But yeah, I think more and more what I'm hoping is for like the humility to just really go for it. And, we don't know what we have given tomorrow, let alone today. So pretty philosophical, but I think that's where we'll close it out on this edition of Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. Final from Davis, UC Davis 45, Northern Arizona 24. We're 5-0 against FCS opponents. We get a bye to chill out, and we'll see you guys virtually as the Aggies take on the Bears of Northern Colorado in a couple weeks. Thanks for joining, fellas.
Go Aggies.
All right, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining.
that was fun.
That was awesome.